Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha on page 3. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intending virtue I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects. With supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the five faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 15. The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Vulture's Mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Sharadvatiputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. No visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25. Sangye Shingdu Meteoa Yitrokunanda Shingla Chopashok Jetsun Lama Dampakenam Hicho Kukala Yense Chinjigne Jita Sampe Tuchesinma Laza Gechuki Chapapatu So Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. Page 27. Chodan Sogi Chonam La Jengchu Badu Dagni.
Dage Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji Dola Benji Sanje Dola Sanje Chodan Soji Chonam La Jengchu Badu Dani Jasam Dage Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji Benji Sanje Dola Sho Sanje Chodan Soji Chonam La Jengchu Badu Dani Jasam Dage Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji Benje Sanje Dubara Sho 관계의 세계에서의 다와는 제동원이 대면신의 존재의 고단된 하셔대로 동인이 되선대 조별 제제선세 관계된 저건 전화를 모든 대제선로 소와드서 전대는 도시 관계의 라마를 모시 다게 지구를 배면되잖아 거래지 매고는 여성대 고성도 경우도 되서 전주 심자를 모지 마제반하지 여와냐 매워야 고네 건데 배버를 쇼
So we'll do a motivation meditation. Now rejoice.
다 먼저 드림 다 데레 직당 타대당 니 뭐직당 뭐 타대 제직당 제 타대 다도서 저 동업원에 주시 와시 저 탐제 저 두베이나 내가 시제 탐제 저 두베이나 직당 타대 나라 뒤로요. 야면은 지금 거래 야면은 타대 인고라. 어디 시기요 그랬다.
So now we're looking at, it's on page 166 of the book, one and many. So when you talk about one and many, we're also going to look at or diverse substances, or one essence and diverse essences, or different substances, different essence, you could say. Or different substances, different essence, you could say. Now, when you take phenomena and divide them up, or many, right, either singular or multiple phenomena, there's no phenomena exists that exists outside these parameters.
다담고 하나 찍스나 가서 다 찍이 진이셔고 찍당 타대 진이로 진이셔고 그랬다.
Okay. So first we'll look at the phenomenon. We'll look at the definitions of one and many.
다담고 찍이 진이 가르서나 아니 너도 시제 탐지 찍당 타대니 소소 많이 배치 소소 많이 배치라고도.
So the definition of one is a phenomena that is not diverse or multiple.
다 소소 많이 봐서나 갈라고서나 빼난 건저 포바디로 포바찍으로 봐. 다 포바디 찍으로 찍이다 소소 많이 봐서 다 타대 많이 봐라다. 소소 봐서 니 고도 니 많이 소소 많이나 아니 찍자 그래. 어디시야 그래.
So looking at this first part of this, which is, in the Tibetan, the first aspect part of it is that it's not diverse or multiple. So what's meant by that? Well, not diverse basically means not more than one, not two or three or something like that. So if we take this cup, for example, when you say this cup, you're referring to a singular object or entity. So that means it's not diverse. Now, diverse would be like 2 pens or 3 pens or 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups. So anything that's more than singular, so 2, 3, 4, that starts to become diverse. So that's the first aspect, that it's not diverse or multiple. The second aspect, that it has to be a phenomenon, which basically means it has to exist. If it exists and it's not many or not diverse, then it fits the definition of being one.
다데마 예와치용도나 소소 많이 봐서디 칸데스 샤고르라도 똑배 쳐주라고 쌤 똑배 쳐주 똑배 쳐주라 소소 매와당 야 대주주라 소소 매와 다디 지고래 대주스 똑배 빼나 다 주지다 sound
Yeah, sound right there.
포버직스로 포버직랍디 다가나라 찍매시 고면다 똑배나라 포버직스디 찍매시 삼로 거야면도 쌤나라 똑배 차야 될라 다디 포버직스도 다디나라 까와랍도 나 포버랍샤나 당물 렘 포버직랍샤나 다디 고다 하면서 포버직 아니 똑배 쌤나래 미지 포버직 수때라나 아니 포버직 되면서 포니 되고 말아 아니 다디게 가르고 그러스네 찍고다 찍고에 제일 똑바디게 가래 찍 똑배나라 차는 것도 포버직 쌤나라 차는 거다 디 인상 대 주줄라 소소매와 땅 똑배 차줄라 소소매와 인상 소소 많이 바스텔라고 그랬다.
So when we talk about this not diverse or the singular, it has to be something that can be conceptually understood to be that way and could also be expressed by sound. So for example, if we say 1 cup, when we hear 1 cup or just cup, the concept of a singular thing arises in our mind, a singular cup. So this 1 cup refers to this concept. When you hear that sound, the concept comes about that, okay, you're going to give me 1 cup, you're not going to give me 5 cups, so forth. So the concept of a singular entity arises based on the sound that expresses that. So the sound expresses this idea of something that's not diverse, basically.
그래서 지금 똑바나라 쌤나라 똑바라 차려야 돼. 다게 주니 똑바 차단 찍. 다도 유라 주주 찍라라. 다단 똑바 죽지 지거래 다에 간제인데 다디지 주단 죽제선에 똑바디 셈나나 다가란 샤르고요로 디샤단 지고 똑베 샤단 지 안저 뒤중은 저 처음으로 나는 망고저래 미지게 최 야고지 돌라나 아니 셈나나야 똑바 야고지 요 튕거다 다디 최 도자도나 나 도자에서 콘도 사기도 다디 제스 똑바레레 끼기도 안 저러 디시기요라 단다디
So what we mean by this process is, if somebody starts talking to us about a cup, then when we hear them talking about a cup, the concept of a cup arises in our mind, right? So this is what's meant by this dokpa or this conception. Now this happens a lot in our daily life, right? Somebody says something nice to us, says you're a good person, immediately we have this concept of how awesome we are. Or somebody says something bad, then we have this concept of, oh, I'm bad, or maybe that I'm not bad, or something like that. But often it happens that when we hear people say certain things, then we continuously generate conceptions related around that.
다디 양어스 또고 매매냐야 리카시 다 경험에 바자세네 또고 지야든데 요래 이거 경험에 바자세네 또고든데 지와 요래 이나 디 경험아들래 양 다든데기 죄션요 다지기 죄네 바자디 샤기 요다 간다 주네와 응어스 단다 체딜랑 저 또고 미 드라마나 말라나야 수수 경험에 바자 또 지세제 또고 체딜라 또고 지야 요러 근데 또고디 다디 체들레 매비냐야 청가망아마 딘딜라 줘거든데 유초로 하디고 간다 다지기 줘버데 도구여다 간다 심나라 건조라다 수수 줘버 타메올라 도구여데
So a lot of the conceptions we have are in relation to these sounds. Sometimes so the Kionangla Bakshati Okay, so a lot of it, these conceptions we have are produced by sound. Sometimes it can happen that due to imprints from a previous life, then concepts can arise based on that, based on these imprints. But in general, a lot of the imprints that we have are produced because of hearing something, people saying something. This helps to, or, just talking with others, this produces much of our conceptions.
다 딜라 페나 디샤도 페나 까와시 죄베 데 식신라 까와레 신베 폼버서 마주가 당라도 아니 까와진베 도과레 아니 다과디기야 폼벌라서 외신추 셈나라 차르기요 막 인자코 디 요거와 어디 디나시다 사단 취다메다 롱다 포바다 조르다 탭다다 최 장마라 도스리 링다 당레레소라
So just looking at here, it says, for example, the word pillar does not express anything else such as a vase. That is distinct from a pillar. So to know other objects such as a vase that is distinct from a pillar appear to the conception apprehending a pillar. So, when you hear the word pillar, then it arises as pillar. It doesn't refer to any other phenomena such as earth, fire, wind, water, bogs, etc. It only establishes this conception of pillar.
다 인다게 줘봐다 독베 다게 찍 수소 줘봐다 독베 수소 많이 봐 차와 짬기 찍차게요 말했어. 다디나를 원하라도 다디 변한 거줄라. 네 가리 가도 몬보레 저러나 가리고도 몬보레 라비나 가리 가도 들어. 이제 다디게 가리 가도 몬보 조용보다 독베게 가는 몬보지 샤초로 이내야 디 찍 말했어. 가리 가도 몬보디 코요 말봐. 그냥 취해야 돼. 어디 식이요로.
So then it goes on to also express as for something like the horns of a rabbit, although it is expressed individually in words and it appears individually to conception, it is not one since it's not a phenomena. So this is the second part of the definition. It does have to be a phenomena. So for example, if you were to say, talk about this blue snow mountain, right? Obviously snow mountains are white. So if you start to talk about a blue snow mountain, even though it fulfills that aspect of producing that conception of a blue snow mountain, and not another thing, it doesn't fulfill the fact of being a phenomena because, white snow mountains exist, blue snow mountains don't exist. So because of this, it doesn't fulfill the definition because it's not a phenomena. It does not exist.
그래서 추라니 추스나 그러 라니고 시루베 거라 요구라 추이네 요구라 시다 디 매베리 tunzu다 망보 저랑 하는데 다 당기 다가라래 미지게 저랑 미독자도 라나 수수 야구지나 미도자래라나 도자 차가 말아라 디 똑바디 디코 라바디 요 말다가 미디 라바디 요 말아 추 말아고 다 저나 연대 어디 돌라나 다 수수 요지 요나 다 디디겨로 저나 빼야고 돌라나 야고 요 말아 디 민도가 다 제가 그 매우 인자니 뒤중한저다 매딘 저지야 진제 대위인자 안도 또 볼로시 먹고 얘기여러다 아 근데 망고 답에 나도 처외나나 망고 싶어요러다 근데 싶어요러다
la. So in a sense this existence relating to what people say is very important. There's something to like be a phenomena or exist or be an established base, which are all synonymous. A lot of what people say we hold on to even though it may not exist. Like, as for example, if somebody says you're a bad person, that doesn't make you a bad person, but you can sort of suddenly start to feel, oh, I'm such a terrible person, right? Or that if you maybe you have a few qualities and you think, okay, that's okay. But somebody says, oh, you're so amazing, and suddenly you start to feel like you're this amazing, greatest person in the world. Of course, that's not existent either. So in our daily life, a lot of what people say, we create these non-existent perceptions of it.
다디 찌개 말해 다대 말해.
So that's not one or not many. You're not one times awesome and not many times awesome.
요 말해. 라게도 요 말해.
So that doesn't exist. So it's not a
phenomenon. 매워직 진대고라. 매워직 열에 삼 진대고라.
So sometimes we hold on to things that don't exist as being existent.
당도 똑바게 진주만 찾는데 당하는데 똑바 진주만.
In fact, most of the stuff we think about is complete nonsense, actually.
근데 똑바지야 찌그레 타데레 성다나 찌게만이 타데만이나 다 민두가.
If we actually stop to think about it, the nonsense that goes around our head, was this one lot of nonsense or was it many loads of nonsense? Actually, it's not. They don't exist at all.
나도 나 따과든 나 계산 가요래 와 계산 가요래 드링 가요래 만성의 지구에 something 요데 찌그레 타데레스나 요 말아야.
Yeah. So thinking about this permanent self being the same as you were yesterday, is that one or is it many? It's neither. It's non-existent.
다대 생일라 그래. 소소에 치였다. 다 소소.
Okay. Then it goes on to many is defined as phenomena that are diverse or multiple.
내가 다대 거래서 소소와 인질라야 똑바로 찾으던 대주주 소소와 책을 빼나 사단 추스라비나. 사단 추스라비나 다게 사 추스 단위 용도와 똑배나래 카가니 샤용도 어디 카니도 서와. 사단 추스라도 다고라나네 사단 추스아지 고용도와 똑배나래 사단 추스 고용도와. 다다다 소소 차로도 돼.
So it then goes on to explain phenomena refers to the mode of appearance to conception and their mode of delineation in language, in a sense of possessing diversity. Examples of this include, for existence, the pair, earth and water, and the pair of being produced and being impermanent. So taking the example of earth and water, both by the sound and by the concept that sound produces, they're multiples, right? Earth and water, like there's two, so it's more than one. So this shows that an example of what diverse means. Or many.
Sas lamna dajigle mindoro. Togwena samishina shamda pena samala chuslabina. Chuslabina dadi chut mijukomda. Togwena le chuji mijukomda tagda gona jikchasonga.
So as opposed to if somebody were to just say earth, that only produces a singular concept of earth, right? A concept of a singular object. Earth, or you say just water, that produces the concept of a singular object, water. So that's examples of one. If it's one sound that produces a concept of a singular object, as opposed to earth and water, which is multiple.
다드네 타데게 신실라 제바다 미다고 아직 샤도아데 다 추다 사스도 다 세부차로다.
Right.
다도 수그릭들와 수라고도 정도 포바 대 유구스나 베 세부차로다. 다 데미지지릭도 데스 카고요레 제바다 미다고 알았으나나 야 다도 로가도와 제바 미다고스도 다도 로가 고용거더라. 다데리.
Right. The function thing. So it's very clear when we talk about, gross forms like cups and physical objects. Like obviously the cup and the book are very distinct. It's very obvious. But when you start to talk about non-associated compositional factors, such as things like saying a product and a thing, or a product and impermanent, they are definitely diverse, but they're not easily physical. You can't separate them in the same way you can with physical objects.
Pena da chewada midabuni davidi ngochi resrwa ngochi inaya ko thade resrwa thade la de da tokba thade ming thade rwa ming thade da thade do chewa midawsra ina ngochi resrwa ha kuni dende jado tongol tunji midawsu rwa tokbe ngola chewa sna lola shadan chik tunji sa midawasna lola shadan chik ha tunji la de dire ngzo 저 당연히 제바데 미다고라 때에서 가보도 다 계산으로 그런 매도로 적지가 매도로 통대 이나로 계산 다 드린 양자 삼다인데 심나라 계산 조제가나 매도요 매도 심나라 샤르된 조스도 매도 심나라 샤르된 조 나와시도 디 튼지디 튼지서 나와 똑배 나와 똑바게 나와 될 튼지 코 다워스도 코 다워 이나 똑배 나와게 매도 말어 똑배 나와 매도 레베스네 매도 말어 이나 지 수수세나라지 매도 다워지 난데기도 하고라 어딜 튼지서 되나시 아니 제바다 매도발라 튼지서 요래서 셰도데
So when we take the example of product and impermanent, this is said to be something that's one nature, right? But different isolates, or you could more clearly just say they're different names for, different names. But what does this mean? Why are they said to be different isolates? Well, because when you refer to it, it produces different generic images, right, or different conceptualizations of the thing. So when you hear impermanence, you produce one sort of generic concept, generic image, and when you hear product, you produce a different one. Now, when we talk about this generic image, we've got to understand what that is. So when you think about, let's say you think about a flower you saw yesterday, and you think about that today, this produces this generic image of this flower. So what this means is it's an appearance to our mind. Now, obviously, what appears to our mind is not the actual flower, but it's somewhat similar. Like the appearance is similar to the flower, or like the flower. Something flower-like appears to our mind. So this is what's referred to as the generic image.
예산데 동어 팅이 튼지미 소소 차시서 무밍 타데 소소를 거쳐 임베나 소소 제와다 미다바니데 밍 타데레스로 제와 미다고 타데도 다타데도 안 도벌레 튼지미라 지기위자 아니 데레스 질 대치 다나 지직단 타데 시와네 다단 도벌라 되는 저고 그래서다 되나 도벌직단 타데 차고 도벌스도 밍 직단 타데에서 와데 다단 조제게 다단 똑배게 아니 직 차주라 샤네 샤고 잠당 아니 디간라 제주직 가상어서는 여버치 고고다 똑벌 차주 잠게 직다 타데 차고 말와 디간라다 여버 간식라 시도버 간식라 아니 똑벌 차주 직도나 직차로 그래 똑벌 차주 니도나 니차로 그래 인다가 주주 직도나 직차로 다 주주 니도나 니차로 어두세네
So two things are present here. They have a different sound expressing them for product and impermanence, and they also produce different conceptions or diverse conceptions or diverse generic images with the mind within the mind of the people. So this is important, right? It appears separately to the conception, and it's understood, and it has different names or proper nouns, and it refers to it as proper nouns in the book. So it has different names or proper nouns, but so it has to exist. So that's important. It's something that has to exist, and then it has the separate sounds to be many, right? It has to have separate expressive sounds or separate proper nouns, and then produce separate conceptions or generic images in the mind. So if it has one sound that produces this conception of a singular object, then that's suitable to be, and it exists, then it's suitable to be said to be one. If it exists and it has two sounds expressing that produce the conception of two separate objects, then that's what is said to be many.
어디지? 다디네 체메슝네스로 다 낭베게 체메슝나라. 아니 딘데 요레스 오직단 다데 제직다 다데서 다도도 빼 개점보래. 이제다 너저 오직단 다데 고디다 타탄다 직단 다데디 야고 신송하다.
So we often talk about in the different explanations within different philosophical systems within Buddhism, they talk about one nature or distinct natures or one essence, distinct essence. So, diverse essence, or many, you could even say, many essences. So what you've got to understand what this one and many actually means here, to understand what they mean by that, one nature or one essence.
어디라도 다단다 대신에 독바직단 다돼서 남셔야 좀. 다 오직스는 하려고 그래 봐. 다단다 직다데 오직단 다돼서는 하려고. 오직스는 가서는 오소소 많이 배출하고 있다. 봐.
Okay.
오직스도.
We're talking about one nature now. Noachig, so the same entity. So Noah is translated it here as entity. Okay, I normally translate Noah as nature, but it says here in a similar manner, phenomena that possess the same entity are defined as phenomena whose essential nature are not separate.
오직 왜 단다드 가서나 소소 많이 배출 나도 오 소소 많이 배출 배나
Noah 소소 많이 배출
배나 시제다 요바 다 배나 제바다 미다와 서로 당어도 배지 제바다 미다와라 시나 야고 얘기래로
So literally it's phenomena whose essential nature is not separate, but this is the same word that he's previously translated as entity, so I'm going to stick with nature because it's more clear. So, for example, the pair knowable objects that existent or produced or impermanent are one nature or one nature.
배나 나 제바스로 제바답니다. 제바스도 제바디 가르스나 다 오고랑 미다고래요. 미다고다 제바스나 모수소 치드야요 말이에요. 그 제바스나 미다고스나 제바래요. 다 명디로 가로 오직 도바타 되시기도. 명디 다디 단단한조 낭배슝나라 디시 야고지 마 시행고 마시나 onda deni dembani wa dembani da dembani de ngoji la toba tha de la de yoro kunzu demba da nan de ba ngoji toba tha de cheba de mida wa na shi dira mare da bena ngoji la toba tha de se de la go yoro dishengo da handa ngoji da ngo tha de se de da kejumures.
So this is very important to understand. Yes, because if we what this one nature, and especially one nature and different isolates or different designations means, for example, if you take some product and impermanent, if something's a product, it's of course impermanent. If something is impermanent, it's of course a product. So they can be said to definitely have the same nature. However, they're also said to be different isolates because they have different names and expressed differently. The concept, the generic of the concept is also slightly different. So it's important to understand this, right? Because especially when you're thinking about the two truths. So the two truths are again said to be one nature and different isolates, different. Sometimes it's translated as different designation.
답변은 독스라고 질라위나 이라 포바 땅 미다고라 포바데다 미다고니 뭐지게 와 그래서나 포바디 뭐 거나 미다고래 와 포바디 포바디 미다고다 포바지도 와 포바디 미다가 юмzen 그래서나 포바디 미다고 치다 지단 치다서 치다디 지단 뭐지 차로 그래야 하디
Concept parts are no chick or
파즈마 야 차고
yeah,
여기 제와도 미다고 빈주 차고 다 빼나 가와당 내 가와당 뭐보샤다 포바디다 뭐니 지치들 치다에는 지드다 뭐지 미캬르다
So you could also say that cup has the same nature as impermanent because the cup is, of course. However, this, when you're talking about in terms of these generals and particulars, Tantari, but you could understand it more easily to understand it in terms of supersets and subsets. So when you talk about impermanent and product, their nature. Pinson is like back and forth. The nature is the same. Impermanent is a product, and product is impermanent. However, when you're talking about a subset of a superset, like cup and impermanent, or pillar and impermanent, then it goes up. You could say that the cup nature is impermanent. You couldn't say the same thing about impermanent going towards cup. Like the nature of impermanent is not cup.
그래서 나 포버 줍자니네 미다고 뭐 줍두고 와 포버는 미다고 줍고
Yeah. The reason being is because if you have a cup, you necessarily have to have impermanence. Like it has to be there. You can't have a cup without having impermanence.
다디네 데스 14차로 도베이나 데스 띵사로 도베이나 다디 포버데다 미다고 오지 가서나 포버데 먼저 미실에 나용데 무슨라 나용데 아니 포바다 미다고서 오스서 나요 말 무슨라 오직도 난겨 제가 오직이라고다 무슨라 나용데 무슨라 포바 나운데 포바 나베 미시들라 포바 나올레 록스 포 미다고 난도 요 말고 딱다 다가나데 포바 나운데 포 미다고 나용 포바 제가
낭기를
낭기를
right 라서 yeah. So if we look at it in a slightly deeper way, or go a bit more deeper into the meaning, the reason why we say this is because if a cup appears to our eye consciousness, then automatically the appearance of impermanence has to be there. If an eye consciousness is perceiving a cup, there's also the appearance of impermanence there necessarily.
너네 제거됩니다. 오늘 까와시되나 오직바 당스다 최대 최대의 오직거든 수소매지 배나 오직바 란신직 단위직 그도 직바래다 비용 오직 란신직 단위직 그도 정말 직바래다 단다 직바.
So yeah, it then goes on to, I'll read the paragraph. In a similar manner, phenomena that possesses the entity are defined as phenomena whose essential nature are not separate. For example, the pair, a knowable object and existent, the pair produced and impermanent, and the pair pillar and knowable object. The definition of a phenomenon in the same entity as another phenomena is a phenomenon whose essential nature is not separate from another phenomena. The same entity, the same nature, and the same intrinsic nature are equivalent or mutually exclusive. Basically, those terms have the same meaning.
아까워디 베나 시자당 오지임에 균된 가레스나 데라도 베나 까와디 시자당 오지임에 균스나 까와라니 줍자네 시자랑신도 투버레스바
Right.
까와 줍자니네 시자랑신네 까와 줍자네 미다고랑신 까와 줍자네 제외랑신 도인다 고대단다 랑신직 오직 단위직 차레스.
So why is it that if you take an example of a pillar that you say it's the same nature as an established base or a shidrup, a knowable object, as a knowable object or something that's impermanent or something that's a thing? It's because if you have a pillar, you necessarily have to have a knowable object. You have to have impermanence. You have to have a thing. You can't have the pillar without having those other aspects or things.
Pena dosik la wene ya goyo da. Pena phoba de midabada ngoji chasonga. Chadang khandres na phoba de takbe tong takwa mare. Takwa mayin za phoba de da midabe ngoji chasong, right? Are.
Takwa mayin pe.
Takwa mayin za midao takwa mayin za takbe tong e chu chasong. Takbe tong de pho midawa chasong. Chadang pho midawa da phoba ni ngoji chasong de.
So, to explain it another way, the cup is said to be one nature as impermanent because it's empty of being permanent, right? If something exists and it's empty of being permanent, it's necessarily impermanent. Like it comes back to being impermanent, right? There's no other option. If it exists and it's not impermanent, it has to be impermanent. So that's why it said that it's the same nature as impermanent because it blocks out permanence, and it exists, so therefore it has to be impermanent.
Chizang di dang bena de shera nyingbo na la de la do. Su dongba ni su so la do. O de da denba ni su ge ding dongba ni da su ni ngo ji su kunzo denba da su ge ding tandan denba ni ngo ji doba ta de share da de dukes and how good go ba pen to da de.
So it says this in the Heart Sutra, like form is empty, emptiness is form. So this is saying that this relative and this ultimate nature of this form is this one nature, different designations. So this is the meaning behind this when we say that. It's like form is empty, emptiness is form is an illustration of this.
Chizang su ge ngo de an denba de mayin za denba de tong ba. Denba de tong yin du ane denba de tong be tong ba ni ngo cha song da.
Okay, so what we're saying is this form is empty. It's empty of what? It's empty being truly existent. So then this lack or this empty of true existence of the form is the emptiness of the form. So it brings you back to this lack of inherent existence, this emptiness of this lack of true existence, this emptiness of true existence brings you back to this emptiness. That is the emptiness of form. It brings you back to that relative aspect of form.
So the
essence of form itself and the essence of the emptiness of form, or the lack of true existence of form, one nature, different designations.
So yeah,
if we think about it, understand it, and think about this, it's very important. It becomes very useful to understand.
제와다 미다원이 돈다지고라. 아니 제와당 오지 그래. 제와다 미다와 뒤제 데 도도 상마. 아니 오지. 오지 그래. 오지. 파주 임바고 전지고 봐. 제가 다 전지랑 오지 임배 차례스라.
So if it's one meaning, it's necessarily one nature. So for example, impermanence and product, they're basically the same meaning. So of course then they have the same nature. So impermanence, product, substance, all of these things have the same meaning. So therefore they naturally have the same nature.
다드네 니바들라 최대 제달라야 최대다 오지 인고레스다. 제가 제다디나 지대다야 오지 인고레서.
Oh, okay. So the other way something can have the same nature is if it's this generality and the particular. So the particular of a generality, as I said, it's easier to understand it in terms of larger sets and smaller subsets of that. So if it's a subset of something, it has to have the same nature.
매번 남라 라니 오 매베 오지다 다데 샤요 말에 매바 되줄라 아니 덴바투발라 다딱 덴바투바 당 아니 매바 베나 망고요라다 앙도 다와니샤로 카리세보세로 당다 매바 망고죠 되줄라 아니 오지다 다데 남샤샤요 말에 오지다 다데 이나 요고레 스타디 셰고라.
And then the other thing is, Non-existent phenomena cannot be said to be the singular or many or diverse, right? So things and phenomena that we refer to, like two moons, or there's blue snow mountain or the horns of a rabbit. So these things do not qualify to be one or many because they're non-existent. To be one or many, it has to exist.
다드네 니와 오소소 다 타데스나 오직시오 타데라시나 오소소에 주 타데 진일이다.
So now on the last paragraph, or there's one sentence after, but basically the last paragraph of 167, it starts to talk about distinct entities. And their definition is phenomena whose essential nature are separate.
다 페나 사단 추단 가와다 품바단 두즈샤도
It gives examples here: earth and water, or a pillar and a vase.
다단다 두마체라 타데 미시바야 유스데 다 두다 카시게 두마체라 타데 이 남샤메 디니데 요레스로 예나다 은즈라룰라 타데 샤고라 두마치 쳬라 페나.
Now, it also goes on to say, also, there are those who assert that unconditioned phenomena who do not assert that unconditioned phenomena have distinct essential natures. However, this is pointing out that other viewpoints might exist like that, but here they're saying that unconditioned phenomena can have distinct natures.
다 타데 임벌라 똑바 차주 당 레주주 소소와 인고와 마세 핀주 찍찍 란슌데 마도바 거래 다 란신 타데르 바 란신데 마도 베나 사당 추도베디 똑바라 차주 타데요레 레주주 타데요레 아니 란신 파주 사디 추 차여 뭐 추디 사 차여 뭐라고 고 차 파주 란신 데도에 매 인자 어디 고고요레서 란신 찍찍 란신 파주 마도바지 거래서 란신 다니드 마도바지 거래서 베나 사당 추
So here it goes on to talk about how these distinct entities must appear separately to conception and must be delineated separately in words. Not only that, each phenomenon must not be established as the essence of the other. So, for example, earth and water, we can say, okay, they're conceptually distinct, they're verbally distinct, and then by nature they're distinct, right? So in this way we can understand that they're definitely distinct entities because of these three aspects are all present.
다 데나스라라 타데이나 타데잉고레스로 타데이나 주 타데이 미켜레. 타데이나 타데잉고레스나 디잉고 말했다. 베나 가르샤스나 제와다 미다와디 타데레스. 타데 말했어. 타데 마이베 준제 가스나 그니 오지그레스. 오지베 준제 가스나 전다지그레스. 어다 두스타다 로다.
So it goes on to say, therefore those phenomena, the distinct entities must be distinct. But those that are distinct are not necessarily distinct entities. An entity or essential nature, for example, product and impermanent. So if something is diverse or distinct natures, then they must be distinct. However, for things to be distinct, they don't have to have distinct natures. As it said, product and impermanent, you could say they have the same nature. So they're not distinct natures, but they're definitely distinct in terms of the sound and the concept. So they still qualify as being distinct, even though they have the same nature.
타데레스와 아니 모타데 마레스 페나 군이 타데 인데르와 당일게 델라데시죠. 군이 타데 임베 준제 가르스나 네 디주주 타데다 똑바 차두 타데 이베 타초 차르스. 그래서나 다데 민 로가도와 제바 미다고스 달로가도와 안심나라 샤운디 제바 미다고스 나 수수샤요르와 아니 시니 두거와 샤다 딘데 인자 군이 타데레스. 다 아니 타데 마인데 드니 오지 그랬어. 오지 비진데 가서나 제바이나 미다고 인고 미다고이나 제바 인고 아니 오지 있다 아주 전다지 그랬어. 제가 전다지 인상 오지 그랬어. 다 세우차서한테.
Okay. So when we talk about, so it says has the example here of product and impermanent. So why are they distinct or why are they many? Because they are expressed separately in sound, and they're conceptually distinct as well. Like when the concept of them is different. However, so they're established differently by a different sound, by a different concept. But why are they then said to be not distinct natures, or as he says here, entities? Why are they not distinct entities or not distinct natures? Because if you have one, you have to have the other. So if something's impermanent, it must be a product. If something's a product, it must be impermanent. So we can see how their nature's the same, but they're still distinct in terms of the sound, having different names, and also having different generic images or concepts. Okay, so now you give an example of something that is distinct, like many, but not the distinct natures. Apples.
Only apple.
So apples because they're all different, but they have the same nature. So kushu mambo, konzo tadere chigni sumyura konzo no chig. So why do you think they're the same nature? Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you have two apples or two cups, then they have different natures. But they're of the same substance. No, they're not the same substance. They're definitely different substances. Oh, no, it doesn't work in Tibetan. Gangzag is... No, Gangzag, the word for person. Okay. So what about man and human? What about that? Mi, tang, bu. Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
And you have bingo?
Yeah, I think I did. Others? Any others?
No,
come on. Is that a question or is that no?
Huh?
So, well, like wood and trees. So, shing kambo tang shing di chilok di sanang la. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Wood and trees is good. No. Yeah, there's other ways to think.
Apple on the tigore. Apple yellow apple on the tigore.
Yeah. So saying apple and a yellow apple or a green apple, that's okay. But saying
green apple and yellow apple,
yeah. So say a green apple and a yellow apple, those are not the same. Yeah. But green apple is the same nature as apple, but not necessarily the other way around. You got to understand. It's not mutual with that. Okay. Another one. Yeah, but think outside the box a little bit. Don't just go. Yeah. Okay, so clothes and jersey.
The
two truths, the ultimate truth and relative truth. Okay, but you gotta think the reason why are they said to be one nature?
apple yellow apple kushi sebu dan kushi de ngojik cha de sana kushi sebu dubzani kushi dubde cha gora.
Yeah.
So chira de chire yang ngojik cha dan.
Why is it said that yellow apple and apple are the same nature? Well, it's because if you establish a yellow apple, you automatically establish an apple, right? Like by naturally. So the subset or the particular automatically establishes the superset or the generality.
That is apple thing midagwarba. Did kunirashi.
Yeah, and so you could say apple and impermanent for the same reason are one nature.
That apple takbe tongati, apple takbe tongati, apple takbe tongati, apple dang.
Because apple is empty of being permanent, then it automatically becomes impermanent. So it automatically establishes impermanence. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Apple and absence of permanent are also one nature. Or empty of permanent. Okay. Also so also apple and empty of truly existent also so if you have apple, you also have empty of truly existent. Right. Because the nature of an apple is being empty of true existence, so automatically it establishes that. Now we go on to the last line where it talks about same substances, same and separate substances.
ngososo mayimbar kebe chös ta wa ti thangege ngososo mayimbe chö de ngojil sha so ti gan dang ngojik ti zejik thanda sha na tigyo mare ngososo mayimbe chö lamna ngozo sheja ta takwa de zol ngojik sha wa ta zejik la inji minji ngobo yingo yin ngososo mayimba kebe chös ta kebe chöji na ta ze yingo re se da.
So the same substance is a phenomena that arises without separate essential natures. Now this arises is the key thing here. Arises or produced, phenomena that is a product that is produced, that has the same essential nature. So this product has to be there, or it has to be produced in order to be the same substance. There can be things that have the same nature. Simply saying, oh, it's the same nature doesn't necessarily mean it has the same substance. So there's things with the same nature that don't have the same substance. For example, knowable object and permanent. They have the same nature, but they don't have substance because they're not produced. They're not generated or produced. Is that clear?
This true to chef must say.
No, that's
ngo zejik tsinyi kharasna ngo sozo mayimbe kebe chös ta zejik thanda tiche.
So again, the definition is phenomena that arises without separate essential natures.
Dujes kyube chö dan ro dujes kyube ngo jik dan zejik thanda jik bare dujes kyube midagwa kyube ngo jik zejik dan shin jik tozu jik bare spena kawa dan seji kawa la sangata de seji kawa de kawa dan ngo jik ko redwa zejik redwa seji kawa ngu kawa ta kawa mango yaro tena shin ta tangi jik bare ngado.
Yeah. So same conditioned entity and same substance are equivalent. For example, a pillar and a golden pillar are produced and impermanent. So we went over the same thing with apples, right? This pillar and a golden pillar, they have the same nature, and because they're products, they also have the same substance.
Ta dina la de ma thajer te stand wa thingi la na theda rang na we ngusum la so so me na we duje yimbe na zejik se wa rang na we ngusum pe na serji kawa da a serji kawa la na nge la ha ma serji kawa la na ya wo da temde sam serji kawa na de kawa na ngira ko dire.
Right. So these are the same substance, since they are conditioned phenomena that do not appear separately to the perception to which they appear. So basically, using the example of pillar and golden pillar, if a golden pillar appears, of course a pillar appears. That naturally happens. So this is why they're said to be of the same substance, because if one appears, the other appears.
That chewadamida wadi. Tena rana wishi. Tibena dumachi ki chuna ngochik jo jansa, zechik shadmi vesa. Ngochik ina zechik yime kui jansa. Zechik ina ngochik yunguris. Tezanta dumachi ki chudila ngochik ba shaya yores. Zechik ina duje ngo yunguris. Chezan wadi shekorda.
So then it goes through to explain, though unconditioned phenomena can be posited as the same entity, they are not positive of the same substance. For if something is the same entity, is not necessarily the same substance. But if something is the same substance, it must be the same entity.
무슨지 또 두고 말라. 또 금진 상로단에 떠야 돼 가고 싶지도 않다더라. 금진 상로단에도 똑쳐 그래로. 무슨도 떠야 돼. 디니 오지 무슨도 떠야 돼. 산제 박배면시 또 두고요 말다. 덴바니 베나 속동고 덴바니 와. 덴바니 오지 임바데 무슨도 산제 박배면시 또 두고요 말다. 배진데.
So this becomes quite tricky when you actually start to think about it in terms of like the two truths, because definitely we hold the two truths to be distinct, and in fact, although conceptually it can be understood that they're not distinct, to actually perceive that directly, only a Buddha can actually directly perceive the same nature of the two truths, the same essence of the same nature of these two truths, the ultimate truth and relative truth. Only Buddhas can perceive that directly. However, we can think of it in terms of reasoning, then we can establish it in terms of being the same nature or the same entity. So you're clear on how unconditioned phenomena can have the same nature but not the same substance? Okay, so then give an example of a phenomena that are the same nature but not the same essence. Substance. Same nature but not the same substance. So it's space over here and space over there. Okay, so uncompounded space over here and uncompounded space over there. So so no, they are not the same nature. They are separate natures. Yeah. Right. So if you think about it in terms of the larger set and the smaller set, or the general in particular, if you have a golden pillar, you have a pillar. So they're the same nature. So think about it in terms of that, in terms of like unconditioned phenomena. So you have the bigger space and the smaller space?
Yeah. A particular instance of space, like the space of the room.
Right.
As opposed to
space.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have space and then space in this room. Uncompounded, right? Uncompounded space and uncompounded space in this room. So yeah, the Dumachegi Namgat can Kampadi Nangla Dumachegi Namgat. Yeah, okay.
와다 데르다 베나 샤조 두마체다 두마체 강바진나 두마체다 두마체 두 슬랍샤나 안 따다야 두고다.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. If you say the uncompounded space, the generality, and uncompounded space in this room, or uncompounded space in the West, or any specific instance of uncompounded space, yes, that works.
다 단도 전직인 뭐 두마체 지기요래 다 디직라다 전직인 배 두마체 ngo지죠 디직라다. 단다직인 당리데 지치라.
전직이나
단다 두마체라 단다직인 게 ngo지인 게지 요래다 데 당기 로사스 당때.
right.
디카레직라다. 단다디 체다다 찔러도서
라
샤조 두마체스나 체다디 찔려야
뭐지. 체탄 시드브드라워라.
다 딜라고 말해. 두마체라 단다직 임베 ngo지 뭐 가려요래서 먼저.
Okay. So yeah, now we've cleared off the generality and particular instance of the same nature. Now we want zaichig mare. So now we want something that has the same meaning, same nature, but different, not the same substance. Not the same substance. So same meaning, same nature, not the same substance.
Okay. The emptiness of the book and the emptiness of the pen.
So the emptiness of the book.
Same nature.
The emptiness of the book and the emptiness of the pen. So Debgi Tongpani Tang Nugugi Tongpani.
대구댕 동반이다. 뉴구댕 동반이 못 하더라요.
No, they're not the same nature.
The emptiness of the book.
단다지가. 이제 단다지고나 말.
They're not the same nature.
두마체 이메다죠.
La.
Do you understand what the question was related to?
Yeah.
The emptiness being the same nature?
So she's okay. The emptiness of the pen and the emptiness of the book are the same nature. So Debgi Tongpani Tang Nugugi Tongpani no chigre. Konsa no chig. No, they're not the same nature.
못 하대.
They're separate natures.
당에 게 신대 자가 견드라.
Okay, go the Konsa no chig Gunsen Kare. So why is the emptiness of the book and the emptiness of the pen not the same nature? Gunsen.
그니 가르쳐나 뉴구당 탭고랑 오타대로. 그니 제타대로. 이다 그 동시고랑 오타대서 동세 취해되게 상망 오타대 차로.
Right. So because the two base objects, the pen and the book, are separate natures, separate entities, then their aspects, like emptiness, also have to be separate entities. If the objects are separate entities, then the emptiness of those objects or the impermanence of those objects are the aspects of those objects are also going to be separate entities.
여바당, 시자당, 시룹당, 유당, 최당,
Okay. So you could say many things like, no, we've just gone past that. That was okay. You could say things like phenomena, established space, existent. What else did you say? Object. So object, phenomena, existent, knowable object, established base. These things are all
same meaning.
Yeah, same meaning, same nature, but not the same substance.
다 뭐지 재직이나 재직이는 뭐지 비캡제로 하다.
So as we said, if it's the same substance, it has to be the same nature.
다 재직이나 찍이면 맞을지 샬라다.
재직이나
찍이면 맞아. 재직인 게 다대인이 지샤다.
So okay. So we want an example of something that's not one substance, but not one. So, yeah.
The impermanence of sound.
Yeah.
And the production of sound.
So the impermanent sound and the production of sound. So drami takpa tang dragi chepa.
Dini. Ore, dini.
Yeah.
Dini di zeji.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's it. That no tate.
No,
so yeah, oh yeah, they are one substance, but many, like not singular. Okay, so but why? Why are they the same substance? Because they're all sound. Yeah, but that would mean yesterday's sound and today's sound would have to be one substance. Yeah, but why is it the same nature? It's the same nature, but why? But why? The definitions in here. Because they're because their essential nature is not separate. Chogangshe konso no tatemare. But if they're phenomena and their natures are not separate, do they have to be the same substance? No. Okay. So there's no pervasion there. No, there is. So you just said there wasn't. No, between same nature and same substance.
There is, for a impermanent phenomena, there is that pervasive, but in impermanent phenomena, there is. Okay, so impermanent phenomena, like we're talking about sound, definitely there's pervasive. But if it's a permanent phenomena, there's no pervasive.
With what?
With between same nature and same substance.
Oh, okay. So if it's an impermanent phenomena, if it's the same nature, it has to be the same substance. But if it's permanent phenomena, if it's the same nature, it doesn't have to be the same substance. So yeah, the mitakbecho yuna ko zechig yuna noa chigim bekyab. Takbecho yuna noa chig yuna zechig yimbe makyab. Mayim bekyab. So not only does it not have to be, it has to not be. It can't be, basically, if they're permanent.
No, that is.
Yeah.
That do.
Okay. So we'll stop here now. I think we're almost got it, so that's good.
You want to go homework or no? You have, Reading. Reading that they got to the law and the
Once I have to cut so did Chiktan Tadi tap the knee, right?
Oh, they'll how much you mom should
yeah, so yeah, just the chapter on one and many, just finish reading that. And maybe read the whole thing. It's only a few pages. Right. So you want to get clear on what the same nature and same substance and distinct nature, distinct substance, one and many, all these different things are, right? So think about it first in terms of impermanent phenomena, and then so compounded phenomena, and then uncompounded or permanent phenomena. How do they relate with terms of substance and nature and all of these things?
Okay, stop here now.
Okay.
Jetsun la me kutse rapten ching nam ka chun le cho chu ge padang lo sang tempe jo me sa sun gi tro we mun sao tak tu ne gyu chik itama guru ratna mandala kanirya tayami. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Whatever slight positive potential I may have created by paying homage, offering, and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharma, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world. To the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Saviour of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is unification of emptiness and compassion, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduous moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the 3 jewels, Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. By relying on the 2 accumulations of myself and others in the 3 times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losang Dragpa blaze for a long time.